this on Cinema Blend. Cinema Blend had like cinemablend.com. I got the idea for this movie. Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, Attack of the Giant Monsters. And it had I think this is number 4 on their top 10 or whatever. But I liked it because it said it was a Toho reboot. And they stole the director from Gamera. And I can't remember the guy's name. I'm blanking on his name. Shizuki Kaneko. And I guess he was a big director at the time. And so they wanted to have a different set of eyes on the movie, which I think helped.
I think his sense of casting was better.
Oh,
I think that the look of the look of the military people being very, hard jawed, but they had character, Yeah. Well, no, they weren't pretty people. The pretty people were left for the, however, the women, the women were beautiful.
What about like some of the army guys? Like they seem to be very, very clean cut and very.
Yeah, very, very sincere. But the thing is there was a huge variety in the faces, which I didn't think that you saw as much in some of the 60s ones with Toho directing. It was quite different.
Well, I think there was more humor. Are you surprised that I said that?
I'm surprised. There is. Well, we were, as you and I, before we were talking about a couple of the gags. Now you tell your gag now.
Oh well, see, one of my favorite ones was the woman in the hospital bed. Godzilla's walking by. And she breathes like a sigh of relief, like, "Oh, he's gone now." And then the tail comes,
and the tail goes whap, and then takes out the whole building. And I was talking about the villagers that are sitting around in the living room, and everything's shaking, and they're making jokes about it, and all of a sudden the fist comes out, bam, and just flattens the entire
Monty Python
building.
Scene.
Oh yeah.
Well, like you see the guy look out the window, and he's like, and then you see the foot come down.
Yeah. Oops. Hey, what the?
I actually rewound that one to watch it again. I was like, that was pretty cool.
It was really good. And you know what? The thing is you have to remember that, and I think this is an important element. The difference between the American one and the Japanese one is the Japanese ones. There's enough simplicity of vision so that you can see a gag like that. I think in the American one, there's just so much shit going on all the time that separating out one gag is very different. It's very, very difficult.
Right. Yeah.
This was a very delightful film, especially from the point of view of how much I found myself just really getting into it at the end. Yeah, as it went along, really fighting for the guy in the submersible.
Yeah, and, the dad. Yeah. Well, this was the story was pretty. I mean, the story wasn't that great, but who cares? But no, I thought I really liked this. There was father-daughter. There was a story about a father-daughter relationship.
Because and all the Japanese ones have a simple.
Yeah. Well, this had underlying theme with the father and the daughter.
Right. They always have a simple underlying theme. I mean,
and I like the one with. I like the fact that it's like a bunch of angry souls that died in World War II that are inside.
Yeah,
Godzilla.
that was really cool. That was really cool.
And the other monsters are actually the guardians of their prefecture or whatever they're from.
The guardians.
But I feel bad for the people that had Baragon. Because he's kind of like the Chihuahua of the monsters. He kind of reminds me of a little Chihuahua dog. And he just got destroyed by Godzilla, like stomped on.
Oh yeah, it's like he was second rate. I
like where he's trying to climb away. Godzilla's like
definitely it had that feel. I really so seriously enjoyed this film.
Did you like the swallowing the submarine part at the end? It's like
yes. Brilliant. I mean, what was what's that biblical thing with the Jonah?
Jonah and the whale.
Jonah and the overgrown fish. Yeah, right. Jonah and the whale. it has a very a direct correlation. It's the old biblical story again. You
Yes. Or
know,
what's the one with the
you
Moby
just
Dick, right? Trying to think of that one.
did you
Because I read
did
stuff.
did you just wait? Did you just call me a dick?
Called you a Moby Dick. Oh, so
Oh, okay.
I
Oh,
liked how
okay.
they did. I don't even know how I'm saying it right. Ghidorah. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but the three monsters.
Ghidorah.
How he
Yeah,
came
three
back.
monster head, like he kept coming back.
Yeah,
Right,
like
and what was and that was a scale that was blessed, that was in his pocket, that fell in the water. Yeah,
right.
I have to admit, is the Japanese can throw little elements in that keep going on and on and on, and I just loved all that
Yeah, the
because
spiritual world of the monsters. I kind of like how they worked that into this. And then,
yeah, well,
Mothra was a beautiful monster, wasn't Mothra? You forgot to mention
oh
that.
man, good, so much better wings, and considering that most of these were miniatures and that there were very few CGI enhanced shots in it.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
CGI was a little distracting, especially when the three-headed monster came back. I was like,
Well,
oh, okay,
I was gonna
yeah,
say
it's
there was
cool.
an
It looks like
over
a Disney movie, like
there,
what's the fairy I'm trying to
right.
remember, in Peter Pan. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
What's her name? Twinkle Fairy?
Pinocchio. No. Tinkerballs.
Yeah, Tinkerballs. Yes,
Tinkerbell.
when
Tinkerballs.
Tinkerballs
Well, it depends
sprinkled
on
her.
it depends on who's playing. You know, because there's three different types of people that can play Tinkerbell. There's 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 a woman.
Yeah,
There's a light bulb,
yeah,
or there's a guy. And if
yeah.
it's a guy, you call it's Tinkerballs.
Sure. I don't know what we're talking about. But the magic dust
Doesn't matter.
brought the monsters back. And this wasn't in the 80s. I was surprised.
Yeah. A little magic dust for Santa. Sorry.
But yeah, after the fairy dust was created and the monster came back, the battle got really crazy.
Yeah.
I actually like this compared to Shin Godzilla, for example. I think I liked it just as much as far as some of the battle scenes. Did you like the cityscape with Godzilla walking through it?
I gotta tell you, you know, and I could tell that this was that. I mean, Shin's Godzilla's was like less miniatures and more CGI, and I really just like the miniatures. I really do.
I like this one because it's simple and like Shin Godzilla had him changing every 10 minutes. This was just very simple. His eyes were really white though. It was kind of scary actually. But no, I liked how simple it was. And you know they're miniatures already, but I mean I like how the set looks simple. Everything was pretty simple about the whole thing.
And you know what? This comes back to what I really hate about the American one. The American Godzillas and are so they just every screen of it is got so much going on.
Right, yeah.
You know, that it's distracting. It's hard to understand exactly what's happening. Or I'm 65.
No, I think it's
all one
CGI.
or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it gets to be all CGI, you know, CGI is so tough because
the new stuff, the American stuff, they don't need actors. Just make it all animated.
No, they really don't. But and the fact is that CGI can be well supported. Americans, in those cases, they just really tend not to. The model stuff was just so. You know what? It wasn't convincing.
Right,
I guess the question is it convincing? It's no more convincing than the CGI is convincing because the CGI is kind of if you've ever heard of the Unreal Valley or the what is it? Sort of like Tom Hanks in that when he's on the train. It's what happens when CGI tries to get so close to, and it's called the
You're talking about the one where it's a holiday one, right?
Right. Right.
It's like a. My daughter watched that this last Christmas. Something Express, a Polar Express.
Polar Express. Yeah.
Yeah,
The thing is that look of being hyper realistic. It's almost like the American version goes a little bit too far one way. It goes hyper realistic, and the Japanese versions go, just expanded model work, miniature, and for some reason one of them's pleasing in the eye and one of them isn't.
yeah.
Like the miniature ones, I just thought that they were beautiful. And you have to remember this. You have to remember how hard it is to shoot a miniature. Uh, all of them are shot in different time
Is it
signatures.
just a really small camera?
Believe me, they've tried everything, but they try and change speeds. They change directions of how they run the film. Like some things are run backwards and some things are run forwards. It's like with water. I remember that we used to use a combination of either photo flow, which makes water wetter.
Right.
Kind of like eliminates surface tension to make the waves choppier and break up, or to give a big wave effect, you would put gelatin in the water, or glycerin.
Yeah.
But you have to remember how hard all these elements are in order to get the right feel of a miniature. Your
Yeah, because
angles,
the waves can't be too big, right?
find your say it again.
I said the waves can't be too big. Sorry, you were cutting out there. So I don't know if we had much to say about this one. I think we've covered a lot of things in this one. I mean, I like how they remembered to kiss. Remember to kiss when you're making Godzilla. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yes,
Don't make it too crazy.
I think they did a great job. I want to use, I want to give it a 4. I really do. I enjoyed it immensely. So did my wife.
Well, I gave Shin Godzilla a 3.8, and I think I'm up higher on this one. So I'm
Yeah.
a 4. I'm a 4.
Well, and at the beginning, I think it takes a little bit to get into it, and then once you do, you're like, and not that the monsters don't start out immediately.
Oh, they do. Yeah.
They do. And the great thing about it is like all the great gags.
Well, the
right
tunnel. Drive safely.
Yeah.
Please
I like
drive safely.
I like that. I like the fact that they have a motorcycle gang. It doesn't have a motorcycle over a 125 cc.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was actually thinking about that. It's like, that's a rough gang.
It was like truly, it's an American. The idea of a motorcycle gang in America, it kind of goes from, if it's the rocket gang, the rocket sleds, they're 750 cc's and up.
Oh yeah.
And if it's an actual motorcycle gang, where they're riding actual bikes, you're 1200 cc's or 900 and up. And and the thing is you get things like ride hard, die young.
That little the high pitched buzzing, the little tiny tires. Oh, and by the way, they were circling they were torturing this couple, and this was in 2001, and they were circling like a 1990 Toyota Corolla or something. It was like really strange.
Yeah, it was that was weird, and the thing is it took me a little to figure out that it was a motorcycle.
Well, at least they didn't use scooters. They could have been a lot worse.
Back?
They could have done worse.
It took me a little. It took me a little bit to realize that it was a motorcycle gang. When they finally were circling the car, I was like, "Oh, I get it now." But it really doesn't look it very much,
And the truck driver wasn't scared for his life. He was like, "Oh, I hope those guys don't get hurt. Be careful."
You know what? I sort of got this is the difference between us and every other society. I mean, we're such a self-centered. Oh, I hope I don't get hurt. And every other society doesn't even think that's just. Well, I hope those kids get to school tomorrow.
That's right. Yep. Education's important. Well, unless you're Mr. T. Mr. T always pities the fool who don't stay in school.